thought I'd do another sanity video now. Carrying on from previous videos about Rupert Lowe, Nigel Farage and Reform. Like I say, I had joined Reform. And I'll be honest with you, the only reason I joined Reform was because of what Rupert Lowe was saying. Because Nigel Farage had been kind of putting me off. Every comment he comes out and every interview he gave, I was like, okay, so this guy is not going to do anything, which is kind of what the actual base wanted. And I kind of figured, I was kind of hoping, I was thinking, well, obviously they're letting Rupert Lowe say the things, and Farage is just keeping quiet and just allowing Rupert Lowe to say things that he didn't want to be publicly seen to say, though kind of backed up. But I think that was a rationale for a lot of us. Now, it's pretty clear that Nigel Farage is dead against what Rupert Lowe was saying, and essentially his idea for controlling immigration is just talk tough, do nothing. And I'm saying he's talking tough. He's only recently just started mouthing off in the right direction, but it's just platitudes. He has no intention of doing anything. It's bloody clear from what he's saying. He's just talking the talk. So again, they were the first party I'd ever really had any time for and joined. And again, I think like a lot of us, we're just kind of desperate, just hoping that there's a political solution to these issues. I don't think there really is. I think we've got an entrenched civil service, pretty much does what it wants, regardless of what political party is in power. They talk about deep state in America. It's got nothing on the UK. UK is centuries old of entrenched political systems and a civil service that has become increasingly politicised. It was never meant to be. It was meant to be just political parties come in, they do the bidding of the political parties, but it's not now. It is incredibly politicised, and I think you need extreme measures now, and I don't think any of the parties are willing to do what's required. They're not tough enough. And in some respects, I don't think they even see the problems. They're afraid of the solutions. The problem is the solutions only get harder and harder, and as the years go by, and it's like Islamization of the UK. I mean, Jesus Christ, the amount of adverts you get constantly now in public spaces regarding Islam. I couldn't give a fuck about Islam. I don't care about it. Just fuck off, do what you want to do. That's where I am with it. I'm not interested in your bloody religious beliefs. Just, you want to do what you do, do it. Just stop fucking mithering me with it. Anyway, I digress. I've been looking at other parties, and I'm not... SDP, Social Democratic Party, are actually tougher and have got more refined and defined policies from immigration, foreign policy, defence policy, 100 times more defined than Reform. 100 times more defined, and quite frankly a lot stronger in just about every aspect. And I've kind of reached the point is, unless Reform actually sat down and actually committed to sort of policies that Rupert Lowe has been talking about, and I think that's basically what he wanted in the first place. He wanted clearly defined policy statements to commit reform and have people in place as a shadow cabinet, to espouse those views on a public forum, to push the party forward. And obviously Nigel Farage just talks in generalisations, and let's face it, he's just surrounded himself with sycophants. It's not a democratic party in any way, shape or form. The fact that they're having to sign NDAs now, they can't talk about policy without a specific permission. They don't have any media or social interactions unless it's verified via central office. I mean, they're not a democratic party. They are essentially a dictatorship, and the fact that it's a limited company as well. I mean, you have to be sheep and blind not to see what it is, and they're not going to enact anything. I mean, it's just all rah-rah, and these big kind of like conferences they hold, it's just bullshit, just nothing but bullshit, and I'm tired of it. And I think a lot of people are seeing through Farage for what he is now. He's just a showman. It's just all bluff and bluster and bullshit, and he won't commit to anything. And I just want intelligent, reasoned politicians. I don't want personalities. I just want somebody who's willing to say, this is what we want to do, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is what we will do, and not be afraid to say it. And is that too much to ask for now? And just commit to it. Like I say, I'm reaching a point. I'm tired, and the UK, if it doesn't change its course, is just gonna go down the shitter. It doesn't matter what you think the GDP's going. It's not GDP. All you're doing is increasing the population, and we've just added millions of dependent groups to the UK now. I mean, I believe like 25% of the working age population now are claiming disabled benefits of some description. There's no way in hell 25% of the population has got any physical or mental disability that requires them to be fucking subsidised by the state. No way in hell. And if that's the case, then we really do need immigration, because obviously everybody's fucked. But it's not, is it? Because let's face it, I think 90+% of the immigrant population that comes into the UK is a net tax loss to us. It costs us more having them here than they actually contribute. But the only thing it does do is because they're here, it increases the GDP, which is the reason why our productivity is falling off a cliff. Because we're relying on just bodies turning up to increase the GDP. And you see it everywhere. I mean, how many Uber Eats drivers do you really need? Or Uber taxi drivers? And I blame the people using it. Just, if you're going to you need a takeaway, go and get it your fucking self. Stop having it delivered, you useless pricks. You're keeping a black economy alive. Stop it. You don't need to have a fucking McDonald's delivered. Go and get it yourself. And it's the same. I've even seen bloody people collecting Starbucks coffee from a Starbucks as an Uber Eats. And I don't know what's sadder. I really don't know. The person actually delivering it or the person ordering it. If you can't go and collect yourself, don't order it. It's something intrinsically lazy and pathetic. I just can't describe. And it's like takeaway food. I mean, stop buying takeaway food, for the love of God. I mean, it should be a one-off. It shouldn't be a fucking main meal every bloody night. And I'm just so fucking frustrated with people and the world. We are sheep, and like I watch people at Reform. Oh, it's the only game in town. Well, if we don't vote for them, Labour are going to get in. You know what? Fuck them. Vote for the people that are going to make a real difference and actually state what they're going to do. Reform don't state what they're going to do. There are other parties, and just being afraid constantly that the party you don't want will get in doesn't mean you should be voting for a party that's nowhere near as good anyway. It's just a lesser of two evils politics. And I am sick of the lesser of two evil politics. Sick to fucking death of it. We have caused everything that's bad in the country. Everything. We constantly keep voting for two fucking parties. Now we've got a third one in the mix. It's just as bad. I don't care what anybody says. Reform is no different to the Labour Party or Conservative Party. And in some respects, I'd say the fucking Labour and Conservative Party are tougher. Certainly are. Because I guess when Labour gets into power, it constantly produces acts, changes regulations, introduces directives into the country. Conservatives don't do a fucking thing. They don't even get rid of the ones that were brought in. They just go along with it all. And then, now I'm listening to Reform and I don't see anything different. It's just all bluff and bluster. Like I say, I'm fucking tired of it. Really tired of it. See, I get up at 5 in the morning. I'm on site by 6 in the morning. I'm having to sort shit out on more than one job. And everybody who works with me, it's like most of the gangs are all Gen Xers now. So this is people doing the manual work. It's 40, 50s and 60-year-olds. You get the occasional young men, but as a percentage, it's probably less than a third. So you got an increasing aging workforce doing all the manual work. The type of work I'm doing is all the constant fucking maintenance on water, gas, electricity, sewage systems, and we're pretty much flat out constantly. We're always short of labour. And the ironic thing is, we don't have immigrant labour. It's always white British people, always. Nobody's keeping them out. But the reality is they're not coming here to do this type of work. They're coming here to do the bullshit and just live off the state. Now, down south, they used to have a lot more foreign labour, but it was white foreign labour. So you'd have a lot of Eastern Europeans. I used to work with a lot of Romanians, Bulgarians, and quite a few gangs in Albanian lads. Again, and like the Albanians are different. They have different regions, different social and cultural aspects to them. So most of the lads I work with come from particular areas, and I've talked to them before about it, and they said that where you're getting a lot of the criminals are coming from specific areas in Albania, and it's kind of like the specific areas in Pakistan where we get the really extreme rape gangs, and it comes from specific areas and cultural backgrounds within even these communities. So but my point being, we're not getting tons of Indian labour or fucking Pakistani or Muslim labour doing the works ever. Most of the Muslim guys I've ever worked with are just doing the bullshit jobs. Loads of security guards. In fact, HS2 is just the prime example for that. If you've got ethnic minorities that are doing security work, basically sitting on their asses all day. So I don't know. Very disillusioned, very pissed off with the world, pissed off with people as well. Just fucking wise up. Really, just fucking wise up. Reform is not the only game in town. They say nothing, they talk bullshit. Labour's just poison. Social and fucking political poison. The Conservative parties, we know from experience, they do nothing. Talk the talk and do nothing. None of them are willing to do what's required, and if it keeps going and going and going, you're just going to end up with extreme politics. We will end up with extreme politics. We are now getting Islamic candidates in areas because they live in quite dense communities, so they can start gaining political influence and power, and they do all the time. We probably have more Muslim and Islamic MPs than any other country in Europe. We don't even have the largest, densest population, but we have got more infiltration, and I would describe it as infiltration now. It's another example was the 20 plus MPs, not all Pakistani or Muslim, but there was a large percentage trying to push for the the Labour government to fund the construction of an airport in fucking Pakistan to make their constituents' lives easier. Right, when you break it down, right, are they British MPs? Well, they seem to be more concerned about Pakistan than they do Britain. And if that's the case, then they're not functioning for the British people. They're functioning for Pakistani people living in Britain and Pakistani philosophy and ideas. They're not bothered about Britain. I mean, infrastructure, if we're spending money, has to be built in Britain, not in another fucking country. And if you're advocating for infrastructure to be built in another country, you're not British. You're not. How can you be? The fact that this is not a bigger issue in fucking media is beyond me. It's almost fucking treasonous in some respects if you're advocating for another country above your own. Why? Anyway, it's just another example of just the state of the UK. Anyway, I think I've had enough now. Bye now.